Hey, what's going on, everybody? Commander Crane here, and we're back with another deck tech. So today we are going to be talking about Pioneer Land Destruction. So I'm really excited to bring this list to you today. It's something I've been working on for a little while now, and finally able to share it with you. Once again, if there's a deck that you want to see, let me know in the comments below. What would you change about this list? Do you like the list? Do you hate it? That kind of thing. So, okay, we're going to hop right into it here. So, obviously, as you can tell, it's a Gruul deck. Weird. I don't usually build Gruul decks. But essentially, so for those who don't know, in Modern for a long time, it's kind of fell off a little bit, but there's been a Pioneer, or a Modern Land Destruction deck, also called Panza, which has been around for a long time, and it's obviously something I've played quite a bit of. Well, obviously, for Pioneer, there's no Stone Rain, there's no Pillage, there's no Blood Moon, there's no Wanvili Acid Moss, but, some people might still have that itch to want to play Land Destruction in Pioneer, and I'm here to bring a list for you today. So essentially, it's a Gruul mid-range deck, but it also destroys lands, which is great. It's really fun for us, not our opponent, obviously. So, alright, we're going to hop right into it here. So, obviously, we need to get to our Land Destruction spells. We need a ramp. So we have 4 Elvish Mystic and 4 Llanowar Elves. They make mana, they're 1-drops, they're great. Most of your hands that you keep, you're going to want to keep a hand with one of these. Then we have 2 Sylvan Caryatid. It's a really, really great mana dork. 0-3 for 2 with Defender and Hexproof, and then makes 1 mana of any color. It's a great card. It kind of lets you sometimes not keep a turn 1 elf hand if you have turn 2 this, which is great. So, and then we have 4 Bonecrusher Giant. I can't say enough good things about this card. The one side is a 2 mana shock. The other side is a very efficient 4-3 creature. It's just a great creature to play in our deck. We have 4 Cemetery Prowler. So it's a 3-4 for 3 green 1 with Vigilance. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, exile a card from a graveyard. Spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each card type they share with cards exiled with Cemetery Prowler. So kind of the idea with Cemetery Prowler is I really like this in the 3-drop slot because it's easy for us to cast. It's a 3/4 Vigilance. It's got a pretty solid body, and if our opponent's playing a lot of like sorceries, what's really great is we can make some of our land destruction spells even cheaper, which is great for us. So we're playing 4 Cemetery Prowlers. I think it's just the best 3-drop that we can play in this deck. Then we have 2 Colossus, which is also an amazing 3-drop. 4/5 for green 1, legendary enchantment creature god, indestructible. If your devotion to red and green is less than 7, it isn't a creature. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, exile target card from a graveyard. If it's a land card, you make red or green. Otherwise, you gain 2 and it deals 2. So what's really cool about this card is if we're putting lands in our opponent's graveyard, we get to ramp, which is kind of cool. But the other side of it is really, it's just a great card in pretty much almost every matchup. Being able to gain life while dealing damage to our opponent is just incredible. And as always, 4 Glorybringer, 4/4 for 3, 2 red, flying haste. You may exert Glorybringer as it attacks. When you do, it deals 4 damage to a non-dragon, and it doesn't untap. It's just a great card for a mid-range deck. It gets damage in, and it also kills our opponent's creatures. It's exactly what we want. So, Planeswalkers. We have 1 Chandra, Torch of Defiance. 4 loyalty, red 2. +1, exile the top card of your library. You may cast it. If you don't, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. We can also +1 to add 2 red. We can -3 to deal 4 to a creature. Or we can -7 and get an emblem with whenever we cast a spell, this emblem deals 5 damage to any target. So it essentially just ends the game. Chandra is a really great mid-range card, and especially in red. So we're just playing 1 Chandra because we're playing a couple other Planeswalkers, but Chandra is very, very good. I'm excited to play it in the list. Then we have 3 Karn, the Great Creator. I know you normally only see this in mono green lists, but it's also good in other decks. So 5 loyalty, 4 mana, activated abilities of artifacts your opponent's control can't be activated. +1 until your next turn. Up to 1 target non-creature artifact becomes an artifact with CMC equal to its mana cost. But the main reason we play it -2, you may choose an artifact you own from exile or in your sideboard, essentially. Reveal it, put it in your hand. Which, spoiler alert, we're playing a lot of artifacts on our sideboard, which is just a really great flex card. We don't, unfortunately, have any prison pieces like there is in Modern, but it's still a really, really great card. So, spells, we're playing 11 spells. We have 2 Obliterating Bolt. It's a new one from Brothers War. Red and 1 sorcery. 4 to a creature or planeswalker. And if it would die, it's exiled. Just a really, really great removal spell. 1 Shatter School Smashing, which also functions as a land. Red, X deals X damage divided among 2 creatures or planeswalkers. If X is 6 or more, it's doubled. So now the fun part, 4 Rubble Reading, 3 in a red sorcery, destroy target land, scry 2. So there's a lot of different land destruction spells in Pioneer, and I decided to pick 8 of the best ones that I personally thought were the best ones to play, which would be this one. And 4 Violent Impact, it's 3 in a red sorcery, destroy target artifact or land, which is nice, you can get rid of artifacts, and it's cycling 2, so if we're in a late game and we're in a scenario where it's not a good draw for us, at least we can cycle it away, get a new card, which is really, really great having that flexibility. So then the lands, we're running 22 technically, 1 Boseiju, 4 Cragcrown Pathway, 3 Forest, 4 Carplusian Forest, 2 Lair of the Hydra, 2 Mountain, 1 Rockfall Vale, and 4 Stomping Ground. A pretty traditional Gruul mana base. Really nothing too special about it for the most part. For those who've watched some of my past videos, this is a very stock land count and list. So, sideboard. It's going to be a little bit different because of Karn. We're going to have a ton of artifacts on our sideboard. So we have 1 Darksteel Citadel, we have 1 Stonecoil Serpent, 1 Tormod's Crypt, 1 Grafdigger's Cage, 1 Pithing Needle, 1 Damping Sphere, 1 Heart of Kirin, 1 The Stone Brain, 1 Sky Sovereign, and 1 The Great Henge. And then our non-artifact cards are going to be 2 Cindervines, 2 Soul Seers, and 1 Carnage Tyrant. So I'm just going to go over everything kind of briefly. So Darksteel Citadel is great for when we just need a land, which is great. Stonecoil Serpent, Reach, Trample, Pro, Multicolor, and it's just a good creature. We can grab at any time. Tormod's Crypt, it's Graveyard Hate. Grafdigger's Cage, kind of Graveyard Hate. It's also good against like the Phoenix decks because the Phoenixes can't come back. Also secretly good against Mono Green because they can't put any like if they storm the festival, they can't put in any Cavaliers or anything like that, which is also nice. 1 Pithing Needle, it's just a great catch-all card. It stops activated abilities of the chosen card. 1 Damping Sphere. It's good against like the decks that play a lot of different spells. So like Arclight Phoenix. It's also good against the Lotus combo decks because their actual Lotus Field can't make a bunch of mana, which is really, really great. Also, I'd like to mention it being printed in Dominaria Remaster is amazing because now this card is like 40 cents. So awesome. I had to include that. 1 of Heart of Kirin, essentially, it's just a good beat stick for the most part. We're playing some Planeswalkers. We could take advantage of that. I just wanted to play 1 Heart of Kirin. 1 Stone Brain. So I'm going to go over this one because it is new from the Brothers War. So it's 2 mana, 2 and tap. Exile the Stone Brain. Choose a card name. Search target opponent's graveyard, hand, and library for up to 4 with that name and exile them. That player shuffles, then draws a card for each card exiled from their hand this way. So essentially, Stone Brain is just like a Slaughter Games for those who have been playing for a while. If there's any one particular card that it's hard for us beating, we just grab this and play it. Also worth noting, so the Stone Brain gets exiled when you activate it. Karn can grab artifacts from your sideboard or exile. So we can just keep doing it realistically if we keep getting, more Karns or if the game gets to that point. We can just do it again, which is really, really cool. 1 Sky Sovereign. So people have been playing this for a while, but I will explain. It's a 5-mana vehicle. It's a 6/5 with flying. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, it deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker and opponent controls and has crew 3. So it's just the big trash barge coming in, blowing up creatures. And then 1 Great Henge, 7 green. This spell costs X less to cast, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. We can tap it at 2 green and gain 2. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under our control, put a 1/1 counter on it and draw a card. I just wanted a big artifact that, potentially like late game, if we get this online, we are so far ahead. So I wanted to play this in the sideboard. So that is the list here. For land destruction, I know there is a lot of different land destruction spells in Pioneer, these are the ones that I personally felt were the best. I know there some people like to play the Cleansing Wildfire Darksteel Citadel deck with land destruction, which is good for us, but it doesn't. If we target our opponent, they just get another land, so it's destroying lands, but it's not putting them down resources necessarily. I also know that there's a new one from one of the Innistrad sets, but unfortunately it doesn't bring them down a resource, so once again we didn't play that one. But that is Pioneer Gruul land destruction. So once again, let me know in the comments, what would you play over some of these cards? What would you not play? What do you want to see next in the Deck Tech series? Thanks for joining, everybody. I'll see you in the next video.